So, someone has probably just opened up to you about being a rape or trauma survivor, and you didn't know how to respond and are hoping you said the right thing. Well, sorry, but you probably didn't. Even people who have been through extremely similar experiences often don't even say the right things. The truth is, there is no single right way to respond, but there are multiple wrong ways. We're going to go over the top 5, at least in my opinion. Number 1 wrong way to respond is disbelief. Our justice system says, innocent until proven guilty, blah, blah, blah. But that doesn't really apply to when you're hearing a victim story, because you're not the justice system. You are someone the victim is going to for support. So you believe the victim. You need to believe them by default, because you really have no reason not to. And if they're calm and collected and stuff like that, doesn't mean it didn't happen. Often, that calmness, that collectedness, that comes from feeling numb, which is a shock symptom, or depression, which also causes people to feel numb. And the number 2 way to respond badly is to victim blame. You might not think you're victim blaming. You might think, but questions such as, what were you wearing? Or, you're so attractive, of course they couldn't help themselves. Why did you drink so much? Sometimes you don't even realize that these are victim blaming statements, but they are. And why didn't you fight? Why didn't you try to get away? Why didn't you call me? Even just, why didn't you call me? Why didn't you text me? Why didn't you come to me to get you out of there? Even that can be victim blaming, because it can put some of the responsibility of what happened onto the victim. And that's the kind of thing that the victim doesn't need. Society's already going to do that enough, especially if they come forward. They're going to be victim blamed all through court. They're, if they were even remotely promiscuous in their endeavors, that's going to be called into question if they come into court. If they, how they dress is going to be called into question when they go into court. Boyfriends, whatever. That's all going to happen. And especially as a significant other, if you get upset about, well, why were you there alone? You should have brought me. No. They went there alone, and they're going to do enough blaming themselves. And that's actually something that you need to help with, is they're going to say, oh, I should have done this, I should have done that. The fact of the matter is, they got out of there alive. So they did the right thing. And you need to tell them that you got out of there alive. You're alive today. You did the right thing. Number 3 is discounting their emotions. Putting their emotions aside. Because given their experience, the victim's emotions are entirely justified. They're a natural cycle, part of healing, and it'll it's gonna happen. They're just a natural cycle, and one way that people discount the emotions is they get impatient. They say, oh, you've been recovering for 5 years, aren't you recovered yet? Or just, well, can we move on? No. Just no. And another thing that people say, don't worry, it'll be okay. That discounts their emotions right there. That's telling them what you're feeling is wrong. It's going to be okay. That feeling that you have that you're never going to get over this is wrong. And really all they need is for you to listen. That's all they need. They just need you to be there and hold them and support them. Not for you to tell them that the emotions they're feeling are wrong. And discounting their emotions is something that happens so much within the church, especially. So if you're, religious, or this person is religious, something to really avoid saying, everything happens for a reason. Or it's all part of God's plan. Because suffering, not part of God's plan. Not usually. A loving God does not promote suffering. So just putting that out there, that, even especially with religion, don't Don't discount emotions. Another thing that people do is they ignore the issue, or they don't acknowledge it because it's uncomfortable, or often they'll change the subject because they don't know how to respond. They're not necessarily uncomfortable, but they don't know how to respond. And if you just sit there and you change the subject every time it comes up, they're going to start to get the feeling that you don't want to talk about it. Not that you can't, which if that's why you're changing the subject, then it's not fine, but it's more acceptable. But if you don't know what to say, simply say, I don't know how to respond. I'm sorry. I wish I knew what to say. Those are all acceptable things to say. I'm sorry that this happened to you is completely fine. It's simple. It's fine. And I'm sorry you feel that way. I'm sorry that you're going through this. Just acknowledging what they're saying and acknowledging that it's not bad. That and acknowledging that they need someone there for them, and that someone can be you. Just that simple, ever so simple acknowledgement can mean the world. And if you need someone to listen, I'm here. And if you say that, listen. Don't talk. Listen. It goes a long way. And to me, the most important issue, number 5, is it's not your story to share. If you go somewhere and you're sharing, emotional stories, and you feel like you gotta one-up someone, and no, it's not your story. It's theirs. And I would never share anyone's trauma or experiences like that without their permission. And like if they give you permission to share it, respect that. Don't go out sharing it all to your brother, uncle, whatever, and just be mindful that they trusted you with their I don't want to call it a secret because it shouldn't be a secret, but secret. And specifically for like significant others is just, if you feel that they're not being intimate enough or whatever, just be patient. Don't push them, don't guilt them, and don't let them guilt themselves either, because they're going to feel guilty that they're not putting in as much as you are, or you're getting less out of it than they are. Don't make sure, and again, this goes to their emotions. Don't discount those emotions. Those are important emotions to have, and they're entirely justified for feeling that. But just say, I recognize that you feel that way. I just disagree. And that can really mean the world.